YouTube, what's up? What's up? This is Jamar coming back at y'all again, Vegas Sense. And in this video, I want to do just a little quick video about some of the Armaf clones or inspirations, whatever you want to call them. And just want to kind of give my input in regards to what I think about them, if you should buy them, or if you should look at maybe trying to pay just a little bit more money for clones from other houses, that do inspirations or clones. So first thing I'm gonna do here is just run through some of the Armaf fragrances that I have here. So the first one that I purchased was this one right here, which is Club de Nuit Intense Man. And this one is a Creed Aventus inspiration. And basically what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna kind of give the name of the fragrance, and I'm just gonna basically say how close I think the fragrance is to like the original, if I've smelled the original. So in this case, I have definitely smelled the original Creed Aventus. And what I can say is this, to me, based on the batch of Creed Aventus that I have, because I do have a sample of Creed Aventus, based on that sample, I would say this really isn't as close as people like to say that it is, in my opinion. And I'll say that in both the dry down and in the opening. To me, it's not really that close. It definitely gives you like that smoky kind of pineapple citrus vibe, for sure. And I would even say, even in its own right, just by itself, it is a really good fragrance. I'll say that for sure. But in the opening, this stuff is really, really strong, and it's really pungent, I would say is the word. And then in the dry down, it's like super, super smoky. Now, the batch of Aventus that I have is the 16 LO1 batch, I think it is, which is more of a fruitier batch. So it definitely has nowhere near as much smoke as what this has. But that batch of Creed Aventus, obviously it just smells a lot better than what this smells. But for the price, I believe I paid about $25 for this one on eBay. This is a really solid fragrance for that particular price range. So I would recommend you buying this over going into like a Marshall's or a TJ Maxx or something like that, and paying like $40 for some of the fragrances that they have there that are only like 1.7s and stuff like that. So again, Club de Nuit Intense Man, as far as closeness on this one, I would say about 80% close, which to me, for it to really be considered like a clone or something like that, needs to be like over 90% close. Okay, so that's that one. This one right here, Armaf Très Nuit Pour Homme. This one is interpretation of Creed's Green Irish Tweed. And what I'll say about this one is it definitely has, similarities to Green Irish Tweed. But again, in the opening, and I would say even in the dry down, there's still two completely different fragrances. I would say that this fragrance and Green Irish Tweed, if you were to have two people walk by you with these two fragrances on, you would be able to tell the difference, I think, between this and Green Irish Tweed. Now, in my opinion, I actually kind of like this a little bit better than Green Irish Tweed. I think this one is a little bit more wearable in more situations. I would really only wear Green Irish Tweed probably to work. And that's just because it's just a super earthy, type smell that it has to it, super green. This is a little bit sweeter because it has like I don't know if it's like the lavender, which I believe lavender is actually in both fragrances, but this one definitely smells sweeter. It has a earthy, greenish smelling side to it, but it definitely has a sweet side to it as well. It does smell synthetic, but it does also smell pretty good. So as far as closeness between the two fragrances go, I would say this one is probably, I don't know, about 85% close or so to Green Irish Tweed. But again, it has its own differences in a very good way. Okay, so this one is Armaf Nuit Pour Homme. Third fragrance is going to be Armaf's Armaf's Derby Clubhouse Blanche. This one is interpretation of Creed's Silver Mountain Water. And I haven't smelled a sample of Silver Mountain Water yet. I do plan on maybe doing that, here in the future. But one thing that I've heard about Silver Mountain Water is it does have like a inky kind of metallic type, smell to it. And you get that off of the initial blast or whatever. And just smelling the cap, I do get that like inky type smell just coming straight off the cap. And I do also get that when I spray it on. Now, when I do spray this on, you do kind of get like an alcohol, smell to it, which is typical of a cheaper cologne. So I'm sure the difference between this and the real Silver Mountain Water would be the Silver Mountain Water wouldn't have any of that alcohol smell to it. But this is a really nice fragrance. Again, can't really say how close it is to the original, but this in itself is a really good fragrance. And I would say even if this one is about, let's say, 85% close, I think this one is still a good pickup if you like a fragrance that has this kind of vibe. This is definitely like a unisex, possibly feminine leaning fragrance. It's really, really musky. So if you like, musk in your sense, musk, and then it also has like the green tea note that kind of adds a little bit of sweetness to it. I think you'll really enjoy this particular fragrance. This is a fragrance that I do like to wear just kind of casually, around the house or whenever I'm wearing like a white t-shirt, something like that. It goes well with those types of situations. This was also a pretty cheap fragrance. I was able to pick this one up for, I believe, about $19 or something like that on eBay. So, this one goes pretty cheap. Same thing with this one. This one is about $19 as well, and these are both 100 ml bottles. Okay. So again, this one is Derby Clubhouse Blanche from Armaf, and I would recommend this to anybody that likes some more softer, kind of calm, low key type fragrance. This will do. This will definitely do. All right. Last fragrance that I have here from Armaf, which is actually, I would say, the best clone that I've smelled so far to like the original fragrance. And excuse me, that's Armaf Ventana. So what I'll say about this fragrance is this fragrance smells, I would say, at least about 95 to 97% similar to Dior Sauvage. The only difference between this and Dior Sauvage is Dior Sauvage smells different in the opening. Okay, so this doesn't really have the same opening as Dior Sauvage. This particular fragrance though smells like the dry down of Dior Sauvage. I would say from probably after the first minute after you spray this on, all the way through the the life cycle of the fragrance. This is definitely Dior Sauvage EDT dry down, for sure. Which I really enjoy the dry down of Dior Sauvage. So this one is definitely is spot on with Dior Sauvage. The only thing though is because this one is a EDP concentration and not the EDT, this one doesn't have the same type of projection that Dior Sauvage has. This one, it definitely sits a little bit closer to your skin. And it's also a fragrance that you can spray a little bit more of. I would say Dior Sauvage is probably like a 2 to 3 max, spray or whatever. When it comes to wearing that particular fragrance, this is a fragrance that I've been able to spray on, 5 to 6 times, without any sort of problem. Again, because it doesn't project as loudly or as far as Dior Sauvage does. But as far as the actual scent goes, this is pretty much identical to Dior Sauvage. This one was, I think, the most expensive out of all the clones that I purchased. I think this one I got for about $40 or so. It might have been something like that. But again, this one so far, from what I've smelled of the different Armaf clones that I have, this one has definitely been the closest to the original fragrance. So this one I would say is, it could definitely be a replacement for Dior Sauvage. Like if you don't want to go out and spend, $90 to $100 on, either the EDT or EDP for Dior Sauvage, I would definitely say pick this up for sure. Especially if you're looking for the EDP, which is what this is. I haven't smelled the official Dior Sauvage EDP, so I don't know how the smell differs from this. But again, this smells just like the EDT for Dior Sauvage, except it's a little bit more toned down, a little bit more closer to your skin. Okay, so that's my take on all of these fragrances. Again, I think all of these fragrances are worth purchasing, especially if you don't have a lot of money, or you don't have the type of money to spend on the original fragrances, because 3 of these fragrances were actually interpretations of Creed fragrances, which, as you all know, are anywhere from $300 to $500 almost. So definitely check these out, pick them up. I don't think that anybody will be unhappy with purchasing any of these fragrances. And let me know in the comment section if you all have any of these fragrances. Just let me know what you all think about it. And I'll talk to you all in the next video.